Hi all, welcome to my channel. I'm Will Wyvern. Today, let's talk about covens. There's a lot of people been asking questions about if they join a coven, how to join, what to look for. So I'm going to talk about covens, kind of share some of my experiences with them. Now, first of all, these are my thoughts, my beliefs, my opinions. This is what works for me. I share with you so you can go ahead and develop your own thoughts and opinions for your practice. Now, first of all, what is a coven? A coven, simply a group of witches. Some people believe it's minimum of 3, maximum of 13, but I've seen covens of 2, I've seen covens of 50. It doesn't matter. Like I've said in other videos, there is no Wicca Bible that dictates rules and regulations for every practicing witch. So whatever works for you. If you want to start a coven with 2, 3, 4 people, fine. If you have a coven with 20, 30, 40 people, fantastic. It's whatever works for you. It's a group of witches who get together. Now, what do they do when they get together? You can have a social coven. A coven of witches who just get together to socialize, to have potluck dinners, barbecues, getting together around a bonfire in the woods, going shopping together, watching movies, doing crafts, whatever. It's just a social group. You're socializing with other witches. They're not going to look down on you. They're not going to share their opinions with you about how bad witchcraft is. But a social coven is just for socializing. It's being part of a group, because that's what most people who are solitary witches miss. And they feel like they don't have that camaraderie, but they're not ready to join a ritual coven, so they are looking for a social coven. Just a group of witches who like to socialize. And that brings me to the next type of coven, which is a ritual coven. These are covens that meet every full moon or new moon. They meet on the sabbats, on the holy days. They meet when they want to do certain types of spells like healing or protection. One of the things I really like when covens get together is when they do cleansing rituals. That's when you have a whole bunch of items, a whole bunch of tools that you want to cleanse. And one of the coolest ones I've been to, there were about 14 or 15 of us. And we met at this one witch's property. This was in Flagstaff, Arizona. And she had a large bit of property. And in the center, she had this stone type altar. And we all just placed different items on that altar. And then we got into a circle. And then we called down the full moon energy and cleansed all the items on the altar. And then each person stepped forward, claimed their item, and then it was consecrated as a group to that person. So that was a group ritual, something you could do in a coven. Now, ritualistic or ritual covens can be very serious, because when you have a ritual coven, you need to make sure that everyone in that coven, and this is with all covens, that they pretty much practice the same way, believe the same things. Some covens, they do let, you differentiate a little bit, but if you're a witch who has a god or goddess, and there's another witch who has a spirit animal or calls on the elements, your rituals aren't going to really work the same. So that's a key to finding a good coven. You need to find people who have similar beliefs and similar ways of practicing. Now, another type of coven is the blood coven or a generational coven. These are covens where everyone has some type of relation. Some they're tied by mother-daughter, father-son, cousins, aunts, uncles. They have some type of blood, and they're called together because they share those ancestors. Now, I have been part of covens that have a little bit of that blood tied to them, and that is some of the most powerful magic you'll ever feel. When you practice with witches who share generational connection, they share blood from their mothers or their fathers, but somehow they're tied to their ancestors. That is powerful magic. When you have that magic that's passed down through the generations, you have those witches who have been practicing. And those are some witches I know in the Appalachian witches. These are witches who have been practicing, and they can trace their heritage back 400 or 500 years, back to Scotland, back to Europe, and they've been practicing here in America for 200-300 years. And they're all tied to their ancestors. That is some very powerful magic. So you've got the social covens, you've got the ritual covens, you've got the generational covens. There are 100 other type of covens. But it's pretty much you're just getting together with a group. Now, the pros and cons. The pros, obvious, you're practicing with other people. You're learning by watching, you're learning by talking, you're sharing ideas, you're practicing new things, you're learning as a group. You're making the journey with a group, not by yourself. Someone is there to hold your hand, someone is there to guide you, you have mentors. That's a really good reason for joining a coven. If you need that guidance. Some people get lost on their own. Some people get confused on their own. Other people can figure it out. Other people can learn on their own. They can, trial and error. They can find out what works, what doesn't. It depends on what type of person you are. I love being a solitary witch. I love being alone, but I also love socializing and get together with other witches on the Sabbats. When there's a solstice or an equinox, I love to get together with a group of other witches, hold a ritual, hold a ceremony. So those are pros. You don't have to always be alone. If you want to, that's fine. But sometimes it's really good to get out with other people. It's good to dance around the fire with other people. It's good to call down energy, lunar energy, god and goddess energy, elemental energy, to do it with other people because it's so powerful. And when you feel that energy connection with a group of friends or a group of your coven mates, your circle mates, it just really enhances your magic. You can really feel how powerful magic can be. And that's not saying you can't do powerful magic by yourself, because you can. You can do very powerful magic by yourself. Doing it with a group or a circle, that's, again, some people call it covens, some people call it circles, some people call it family. Everyone has different terms. Coven is, most people think 13 witches, sitting around doing their thing. Don't get hung up on the words. If you find a circle, if you find a group, if you find a family, it's all the same thing. You're practicing magic together. You're learning together. You're growing together. Now, some of the cons with covens, and these are a lot of the reasons why there aren't more covens, is because we all are different. We have different methods. We have different reasons for doing magic. We have different beliefs. We have different personalities. And not all those are going to click with other people. It's hard enough to find one person you click with. Imagine what it's like trying to find 8, 9, 10 people you click with. That's why most of the covens I've seen are limited to 3, 4, 5 people. Some covens, all they want to do is cover the cardinal points. They want someone to represent north, south, east, and west. Other people want to cover the elements, earth, wind, fire, water, spirit. They just want 3, 4, 5 people. And it's easier to find people you get along with, and you are going to have arguments. You are going to have disagreements. And that's why in covens, you usually have a high priest or high priestess. And they are the person who governs the coven. They are the person who sets the rules, sets the guidance for that group. Now, you can have a permanent high priest or high priestess. Other covens rotate every month or every full moon, or once a year. They'll pick a different person to govern that coven. And that helps with the group not becoming stagnant. And that helps with the group not becoming too stuck in their ways under one leadership. Now, there are covens that have evolved into a church type atmosphere where they have one leader for years. And for some people, that works. Some people like that stability. Some people like that constant rule, that constant guidance, that constant rule, very steady, down one path, and they just want to stay on that one path. Other people like variety. Other people want to try different things. Other people want different leadership because everybody leads differently. Some people are stricter, some people are more lenient. It's whatever works for you. And you have to remember, if you join a coven and it's not working out for you, it's okay to leave. It's okay to tell the other people in the coven, hey, I really appreciate, being part of this group, but it's just not for me. And I've seen covens, where they kick people out because they don't like them, or they banish someone, and that's fine. If you're banished from a coven, or if you're kicked out of a coven, it's nothing wrong with you. You just didn't click with those other people. Don't get discouraged. Don't stop practicing your way. It's your life. It's your journey. It's your life, it's your journey. Practice the way that works for you. Don't change your practice to fit in with other people. There are things that you can change a little bit. There are things you can adapt to fit in with that group. But don't change the basis of who you are. Don't change the foundations that you've developed over years of practicing. I've really liked being in circles. I liked being in groups. I've not been in a coven per se to where it's a ritual type thing. I've participated in covens because it may have been like an all-female coven who wanted male masculine energy, or for certain rituals, they may have wanted to bring in that masculine presence for the group. I've gone into covens for teaching, like if they wanted to learn about ancestral magic, or different types of healing spells. So I've participated in coven groups, but I have not been in a full-blown ritualistic coven. I've been in social covens where we get together and have parties, barbecues, stuff like that. I've participated in multi-covens where you have like 3 or 4 covens get together and they practice together. I've been in circles, which are not as strict as covens. They're a little more open to different practices, where we may have like a main practice where we do, some of the main spells, and then you break away if you want to do something a little different, or if you want to call on your spirit god, your spirit animal, or your different god or goddess, or if you want to work with elements a little different. Covens are very flexible. And again, you are going to meet those covens that are very strict. So the key is to finding what coven works for you. It could be a lifelong journey. You may never find a coven. I know people who have never been in a coven. I know people who practice by themselves. They're solitary witches for 30, 40 years. And that works for them. I like socializing with people because I like to share ideas. I like to learn things. I like to practice different methods. And that's why I like, being in a coven type environment, a group or a circle. So those are some of the benefits. The cons, again, you may get frustrated. You may have arguments. Covens are very personal. Covens can be very private. Covens can be a very intense internal thing because you're sharing yourself with other people. You're sharing how you work magic with other people. And that can really open yourself to other people that you may not feel comfortable with being that open with other people. You may not feel comfortable sharing that much with other people. So that's part of being a coven. That may be a con for some people. For other people, they love the idea of being open and other people being open with them. They love that, transference of energy, of trust, of love, of just being together. And it's always boils down to what works for you. What is going to be best for you in your practice. So that's a little bit of my experiences with covens. I just kind of wanted to, talk about covens for a little bit. If you have any questions, or if you didn't understand something I said, or if you have more questions about something I said, just let me know. I love sharing knowledge. I love sharing my experiences. I want to see you grow. I want to see you have your own experiences. Join a social coven, join a group. And the big question I get is, how do I join a coven? How do I find a coven? Now, some witches say, oh, the right coven will find you. Or when you're ready to find a coven, it'll find you. The more you socialize and the more you meet other witches, and this could be online or in person or at the local crystal shop, you may meet some people, or wherever you go to practice magic. And if those people feel like you would be a good fit in their coven, they may introduce you to their coven or ask you to visit their coven. And there's kind of like a trial period where they want to see, how you practice and if you'll fit into their group. And don't be, if you're not invited into the group, or if it turns out you're not a good fit, don't let it bother you. Just keep on doing what you're doing, and eventually, you may find the right coven, and you may not. Either way, it's fine. It's better to be alone than to be in the wrong group, to be in the wrong coven. And I've seen people join covens and it just wasn't for them and they had to get out. But whatever you do, if you decide to join a coven, if you decide to explore and experiment, I wish you success. I hope you find a coven that works. If it doesn't, move on and find something that does. If you're bound to be a solitary witch for 10, 20, 30 years, rock on. I'm a solitary witch. I love it. I just get together with other people for sabbats and full moons and whatever. But it's all about finding out what works for you. I wish you the best. I wish you success. I hope you have a great day, a great weekend. And as always, thank you.